I spent too long for the intellectual property. Intellectual property is usually 1 hour, but we spent. This part is usually long, but unfortunately, what is the time limitation of this room? 5? 5 o'clock?
5:30 or so.
5:30? Okay. Probably I cannot complete this second presentation, so I will skip mostly, and if you have any questions, ask me. So this part is a game theory. So I usually teach mathematics school. Therefore, if you are not familiar with the mathematics so much, you may have some problem, okay? So initially, decision-making are based on the game theory background and the game theory fundamentals. That includes the prisoner's dilemma, battle of sexes, and stag hunt. How many who learned already in the MBA on game theory? Economics, okay. Okay, good. So that's you have learned the prisoner's dilemma and so on. So probably I can rather quickly explain it, okay? Cooperative decision-making and crisis decision-making, this is the two typical decision-making. Totally different management style. So you can enjoy what's the difference. Decision tree or sequential decision-making, and crisis the decision-making, and finally summary. Actually, I'm teaching in the class for the game theories a couple of times lectures. Therefore, I like this, but for this audience, I try to eliminate most of the complex calculation. So the multiple people's decision making. I like this part, but this is probably far beyond your mathematical knowledge, okay? Therefore, I didn't really include it. Let's start from this. Cuban nuclear missile crisis. Some of the senior person, like him, okay? October 1962, Soviet Union. At that time, we call it the Soviet Union, USSR, not the Russia, okay? The Soviet Union built the missile launch in Cuba. So there are multiple missiles. The MRBM or IRBM, this is the intermediate, medium, and the intermediate is this. So you can find the distance at 1,000 kilometers, 3,000 to 550, no, 5.5 the 1,000 kilometer, okay? These are some of this. What's this range? From here to Washington are only 2,000 kilometers. Therefore, we don't like this. But the California, 350 kilometer distance from Cuba. Therefore, they need IRBM. IRBM is really relatively long distance. You know the North Koreans? The missile range.
About 10,000
10,000,
kilometers.
yes. Therefore, much longer range. Therefore, we hate that will attack our, not the California yet, but Alaska will be, shot, okay? So these are the typical situations. So U.S. feared Soviet Union would be able to strike the U.S. Therefore, President Kennedy placed a naval blockade of Cuba. Are you familiar with The Beautiful Mind? 2001. I like this movie, so I enjoyed it a lot. Basically, this person, you know this person, this person's name is Nash. Nash equilibrium. This is most popular in the game theory. So he's not the starting person of the game theory, but he created the comprehensive all structures of game theories. So I will introduce the Nash, the payoff table, and so on. Basically, blockade or airstrike. United States, of course, we can attack the airstrike to the Cuban area to hit all. That is one issue. But another one is blockade, just separate from the separation of this isolation. So of course for the Iran, the territories, we put the blockade in the Red Sea. Okay, that's the situation. To the contrary, Soviet Union withdrawal. That means the rocket base are already moved out, or just maintain keeping it. So the serious situation is airstrike is happened. So Soviet Union launched the nuclear missile, so that this may hit the Washington. So a total nuclear war started. That's another serious situation. Okay. You cannot see this. This is Nash, Professor Nash. Okay. He is mentally depressed when he was young. Therefore, a beautiful, the mind. This movie was set. Okay. This is a game of chicken. This is a representative movie by the James Dean, famous guy. This is the good guy. This is bad guy. Okay. Fighting each other and approaching to the valley, they need to jump out. Later, jump out is better, but just by keeping this guy too long, he passed away. Okay? So this is a game of chicken. Chicken means the awkward people. Okay? Chicken, you are chicken. Therefore, they try to keep longer, but a fatal situation may happen. Okay? This is the a kind of game like a nuclear, okay, game. So Cuban nuclear missile crisis. So game theory model. Game of chicken, this is typically used one. So if you are not familiar with the payoff table, United States and Soviet, two players game is usually provided this. 2 action items, another 2 action items. And the first, usually slash is used. First one is the benefit level of the United States. This is 3, this is 4. Once the Soviet Union will take a withdrawal, moving out, of course airstrike, hitting and moving out, if this happened, US victory and Soviet defeat. Most popular in the highest range for the United States. How about the withdrawal? Blockade and moving out. This is better, but can we say US is really victory or not? Okay, a little lower. But the maintenance, even the blockade is made, the maintenance without drawing. So the second one is the Soviet, the benefit. So maintain this even a blockade. So 4, that means Soviet victory and US defeat. This is the terrible situation, okay? And here, withdrawal blockade, withdrawal, or airstrike and withdrawal. Of course, a Soviet defeat here. Okay, so 1-1 lowest benefit. That means nuclear war started. This is a terrible situation, fatal, like a chicken of game. One guy is already passed away. Okay, this is usually called the payoff table. So payoff of US and the payoff of USSR. However, the President Kennedy, he created a different payoff table. Airstrike and the nuclear war happened. Kennedy considered this is honorable US. That means this is the best benefit for the United States. If the US was attacked by the Soviet Union, of course, US will be really highly reputed on the honorable worldwide. Therefore, he put the 4 here, okay? So an airstrike, but we maintain this is actually dishonorable. Even we hit it, the Soviet doesn't really move out, okay? In that case, Soviet thwarted and the US action dishonorable, okay? So totally different, the game, the price is provided by the Kennedy, okay? By the way, if you do not have any particular numbers like a sales amount or others, you can put the best, next worst, and worst. So 1, 2, 3, 4. This is occasionally used, okay? So United States blockade. So if I repeat again, 2 players, Soviet Union and the United States. I like a multiple persons game theories, so much more complex. But actually, this is too much for this just a 1-hour lecture. Therefore, I will simplify that just a 2 players game and also 2 actions, okay, for each. So final situation, you may know the US just blockade and they removed. So 3 and 3 compromise. So it's not 4 for each, but the 3 compromise. This is the some of the final, the solution. In this case, Kennedy's speech. When I was a student in Japan, I was actually seeing this, okay? So what happened? The nuclear war may happen. I'm not interested to keep this all, okay? Just stop. And Kennedy's speech, first, to hold this offensive build up. So key point, nuclear missile launched from Cuba create a serious problem. So Kennedy didn't mind air strike or blockade, okay? So actually, the background, there's some background. The US military tried to air attack, air strike. That's easiest. And we can agitate the strength of the United States. But we keep the blockade, actually not the air strike. But Kennedy, in this speech, we don't mind to hit you, okay? Rather strong, the message is created. If you will start a nuclear, okay, the Soviet Union or will be really the reputation will be dramatically dropped from the worldwide. Some the threatening is created. Of course, this is a political speech. So in parallel, the Robert Kennedy, the brother, is moving to the Russia and negotiate and finally blockade and removing happen. Okay. So what is the background? So if you are interested in Allison's governmental politics, the model, if you are interested in, you can read this book. Okay. Because of the failure of the Bay of Pigs invasion, I had better explain. Pigs, Bay of Pigs, United States tried to invade this, but failed originally. That's the background. Therefore, so the Bay of Pigs. So you may know Kennedy is a Democrat. Republican was really criticized. Republicans made Cuban policy and major issue. So thus Kennedy needs to be strong, okay? Therefore, we don't mind to airstrike. He created this, okay? And parallelly, the Russian boss is Khrushchev, was losing his political power, and the military leader is now pushing. So of course, this putting a nuclear missile is Khrushchev's agitation to provide some attack to the United States. He doesn't really, this is a kind of a deterrent. He doesn't really mean to attack the US. But the background of this decision, Kennedy was accused by the Republican. Khrushchev was accused by the military. So both are a little weak, so we need to negotiate rather quickly. That's the background, okay? So Khrushchev tried to trade the issues of American missile. Parallelly, so the Russian put the Cuban nuclear missile. At the same time, United States, including Euro, put this American missile in Turkey, threatening the Moscow. Okay, that's the situation. Therefore, Khrushchev tried to eliminate this Turkish. Therefore, basically, the Khrushchev agreed to remove the Cuban missile once the U.S. removed the Turkey missile from the Turkey's missile. Therefore, Robert Kennedy moved and meet the Soviet ambassador and tried to work on it. Of course, the President Kennedy cannot really declare trade-off. This is so weak political work. Therefore, inside, this is totally different. The 1 month delay happened. But initially, his speech doesn't include any trade-off situation, just threatening, and Khrushchev agreed to move it out. So blockade plus removal, this was provided. But immediately after that, of course, the President Kennedy removed the American missiles in Turkey. So this is a kind of background, the knowledge, which has not been really initially declared, okay? So blockade and the diplomatic negotiation was finally made. So this is one of the starting point of the game theories. So you can find a lot of game payoff table according to the military or President Kennedy, and already mentioned. So different, the payoff table comes out, and the best one is used. So basically, international relations, regime, to set the regime, this is the power balance. power, profit, and norms. These are the three typical, how can I say, the motivation. So power related, we call it realism. And the profit are liberalism. And norms are constructivism, okay? Current American president is actually the profit liberalism person. So without getting any money, he doesn't really move, okay? So this is a typical one. Another person, sometimes money doesn't matter. We need to create some powers and agitation, okay? That's some issues. And norms is like CO2 regulation and others, okay? So a case study, one example, OPEC, Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries. Do you know who are the OPEC members? Saudi Arabia is the largest, okay? So Iran, Iraq, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, and Venezuela, these are the first, and others are joined. Basically, as you may know, to keep a steady income to producers without considering anything for the customers or client, okay? Officially permitted industry cartel or collusion. If this happened in the domestic regulation limit, okay? So the Taisei Kensetsu and this Dango, this is usually prohibited, illegal. But if the two companies are the international, it doesn't matter, okay? So collusion should be made. So each country's collusion, okay? This is permitted. So basically internationally, no regulation or rule except for the ethical rule, okay? OPEC, this is actually the prisoner's dilemma. Though this is a cartel, some countries may not keep the oil production. So usually the Saudi Arabia, largest, okay, they will provide. Let's they reduce the production to keep the oil price a little higher. So that we can keep the longer period of oil production, okay? So sometimes this happens. So oil crisis, if you remember, they are more than doubled higher oil, the price happened. So, and they increase the distribution share. So example case, I will just show you here, is Saudi Arabia. This is oligopoly. More than half are created by the Saudi Arabia. Kuwait is only a couple percent. Therefore, this is one of the smallest contributors. Payoff table for the Kuwait, Saudi Arabia. Production reduction or no reduction. Production reduction and no reduction. Saudi Arabia, okay? Kuwait profit 300 million, 500. No reduction means negative. Loss happened 800 and 300, okay? To the contrary, Saudi Arabia, production reduction, both, if this has happened, 100 million plus. However, if Kuwait doesn't keep this no reduction, just a bit rate, in that case, Saudi Arabia will lose a lot of money, $100,000 million, okay? No reduction, if competitively work, no reduction, no reduction. This is minus 2,000 million, okay? Quite large. So payoff of the oil price. Both decide the oil reduction, then both earn, and both the countries no reduction, lose a lot, okay? So these are the so-called payoff table. And I will introduce the three types of decision-making. economic viewpoint, that means profit, liberalism. Okay? Usually the current president of the United States is using this kind of technique. When Kuwait was reduction, when Kuwait was the reduction, production reduction, okay? The Saudi Arabia had better, so no reduction or reduction. Which is better? Of course, this no reduction. When Kuwait takes the reduction, Saudi Arabia had better take here, 100 million Saudi Arabia, 200 million are here. Therefore, no reduction is better. Okay? To the contrary, when Kuwait takes a no reduction, this line, and Saudi Arabia minus 1,000, minus 2,000, of course, minus 1,000 is better. Therefore, the Saudi Arabia will take a reduction. Okay? So there are no dominant strategy. According to the opponent decisions, the Saudi Arabia needs to change this, the strategy. That means no, the dominant strategy for Saudi Arabia. To the contrary, a Kuwait viewpoint. Kuwait will need to decide according to the Saudi Arabia. So Saudi Arabia, okay, if they will take a reduction, first column, 300 million, 500 million. No reduction is better. To the contrary, Saudi Arabia will take no reduction, Kuwait minus 800, minus 300 million. Therefore, no reduction is better. So actually, the Kuwait, irrelevant regardless of the Saudi Arabia's strategy, no reduction is better. Okay? Therefore, taking into account the Kuwait's dominant strategy, Saudi Arabia, so Kuwait will take a no reduction in any case. In that case, Saudi Arabia here and here, of course, profit viewpoint minus 1,000 is better. Therefore, the Saudi Arabia will decide production reduction from the profit viewpoint. Any question on this decision? Okay? Saudi Arabia will take this. So decision making by Saudi Arabia is now considering. Now power balance. Realism consideration. Power balance, that means Saudi Arabia is the leader of this OPEC. If the other country doesn't follow, we need to provide a penalty, okay, international penalty. In that case, if Kuwait betrayed, so no reduction is made, Saudi Arabia may consider the penalty or actor-specific idiosyncrasy and taking a no reduction. So if the Kuwait will take a no reduction, Saudi Arabia, okay? The Kuwait, the worst scenario, so no reduction, here or here, no reduction, which is better? So Saudi Arabia will take a no reduction. In that case, Kuwait will lose the minus 300 million, okay? Therefore, this is the better idea. So from power viewpoint, so leader's responsibility, in that case, no reduction will be taken. So this is the power law. Another consideration is the constructivism, okay? However, penalty will create. So no reduction, that means here. Okay? No reduction and no reduction. So the penalty will cause the serious oil price decrease. No reduction, no reduction. Too much oil will be created, generated. Therefore, oil price decrease dramatically. Of course, consumers may be fine, but the world economic recession will start. Therefore, we need to stop this. Therefore, Saudi's leader may take the action of production reduction, okay, and to keep the oil price a little higher. Though the decision is what? Okay, the economic reason is production reduction, and psychological or cultural milieu, okay, constructivism, production reduction. The same reason, no, the same action item comes for the Saudi Arabia, but the leader decision, this is just economic reason. This is from like a ethical reason or psychological action to the worldwide. Therefore, this is different. So background is rather different. So you need to consider some of the guy, usually, particularly politicians, will create, we will do this. In that case, is it related to the economic profit or power or the like a constructivism, okay? These norms, three types. So you need to identify these major reasons. So decision is related with the leader's philosophy itself. So usually I usually create this or make a talk in the leadership. Like next door is the executive MBA class. I usually provide this kind of information to the executive leaders, okay? So game theory provides only the explanation itself, but not the direct solution is provided. In this scenario, you had better take this. In this scenario, this, okay? So final decision must be just rely on each leader, okay? If you are the optimistic guy or pessimistic guy or risk taker or risk, escaper, okay? Different situation happen. Another story is interesting. OPEC, the power of OPEC is dramatically reduced. Most recently, in these 10 years. Advanced technology. This shows the so-called modern technology for the hydraulic fracturing. The new word is a fracking. That means oil shale. Okay? The OPEC, the major one started, such as oil shale, heavy oil is now started to make. Previously, we didn't have any of these technologies, but the United States started to crash. So usually, previously, we will get the already existing this natural gas or others, but now we can deep this part, some of this shale gas or shale oil, these can be already taken. We need to crash, explode, and the cracking made, and they taken this. So non-conventional, the deposit already started. This is still remaining a lot. The previously oil will be decaying, but precisely speaking, if we consider this, we still keep more than 10 years, 10 times longer years, so a couple of 100 years, still oil is there, okay? So technology already started. So the US advanced technology development, a dramatic change in the international political power balance. So even OPEC is changing. The United States can control the 30%, by increasing or decreasing oil prices, the oil manufacturing product. So even they will try to reduce the oil production. If the United States increases, oil price is not increasing, okay? So technology and this game theory, these are dramatically changing. Game theory fundamental. Merchant rule in Middle Age. European Middle Age, the 11th to 13th centuries, the merchant dealt, they traded various things. Of course, they cannot carry wide things, so usually some samples is provided, and how many do you need, and getting money, and bringing back and sending later, okay? If you do not believe paying money, okay, of course a trade will not be made. So you may pay it, but this guy just cheating and taking only the money and escaping, in that case, you will lose a lot of money, okay? How can you prohibit? That's the old fashioned, okay? Good delivery or punish the contract violator must be made. Therefore, European territory started. Once violation contract occurs, the report should be filed to each local court. So once local court publicize the violators to other market. So each country's market, all this rumor happen, okay? So if I cheat and take all money, just one time, no more trading is held. Okay, she doesn't really want to make any trade anymore. Therefore, I try to move this guy. How about this? And I try to take all money. But already some of the reports, court to court, these are blacklist already provided. Therefore, he hesitates to make any trade with me. So that's a punishment, okay? Therefore, the local court publicized violators to other markets, and the violators will exclude even from the other market. All are excluded, so that just one-time profit, but it doesn't create a continuous profit. Therefore, I will become a bankrupt, okay? So try to get keep the promise and so on, okay? So tit for tat strategy, this is the most famous one. Infinitely sequential game. Trading is not the one time. Game theory, simplest is just one-time trading, okay? The nuclear or this Cuban missile crisis, this is one time, okay? Not a continuous. Every month, if nuclear started, that's a terrible situation, okay? Just a one time. So one time is a typical crisis management. Sequential is a normal sequential game theory. And this is usually used for the company, okay? Tit for tat. So what does it mean? So tit for tat, once betrayed, we will take the same reaction, okay? And if they keep the promise, we will keep the promise. This is usually eye for an eye in the Quran. This already included many years ago, okay, before BC. So these are the typical tit for tat strategy. Eye for an eye, okay? The same, if you agree, we will agree. If you betray, we will betray, okay? So the principal agent relationship, trust game. Player 1, player 2, we usually use this decision tree like, okay? Player 1, player 2, player 1, player 2, these actions are continued. The first, exchange or no exchange, so trading, will you sign on it? So if you sign here, we will move to this. And exchange and cooperate, if you return. So this is renege, okay? Renege happened, betrayed, okay? So this is -1, and this guy will receive all 1, okay? The initial principal will lose -1. I will get the 1, but usually 1 time, stop, okay? And second, so to calculate, so if we continue the trading, total amount is 1. How much would you like to get? And how much the principal will get it, okay? Can you calculate? Of course, if 1 time, let's share half and half. That's one possible, okay? But you are the agent, okay? And I'm a principal. And we start the negotiation. Principal, how much? Therefore, if we put the minus x, 1 minus x is the principal, and the second x is agent. Basically, I will into 10% range. So I will take a 90%. You will get the 10%. But one time, she may not agree with this. Only 10%. I need 30%. Okay, or this. So how much they will really happy, and also principal is happy. You can calculate it. Okay. So this is provided agent and principal, and sharing 1 minus x and x in that. So however, player 2 can gain even more, specifically 1 by reneging, okay? But after that, this exchange or trading may not happen anymore. So this is end. But to continuously work, so leaving player 1 with the principal, however, may not hire this agent in the second round, okay? Therefore, what percentage is actually the situation? So this provides the second round, 90% and 10% are this possibility for this hiring this guys, okay? And 1 minus x and x. So x should be determined. So the cooperate continuously, the final profit, you can get this agent x plus this, and renege 1 plus this, okay? So if you solve this equation, basically agent, the one-time exchange, only x is higher than 58%. This lady will accept. I need 60%. Principal will take 40%. This is the calculated final version. So this is one time. But the second, next time, so a 2-year contract, okay? In that case, 43%. If this is the longer, like 100, in that case, only 10% share, she will accept. The long, the contract, yes, even 10%, the agent will accept this, the principal and the agent relationship. So this can be rather easily calculate principal-agent relationship, so-called trust game. Okay. So the most famous one is the prisoner's dilemma. This is again taken from the Bonnie and Clyde, this movie file. So the prisoner's dilemma, that means a serious crime is committed by Bonnie and Clyde and apprehended and questioned by the police. Police doesn't have enough evidence. Therefore, both peoples, they confess is important. Okay? Therefore, this is the player 1, Clyde, player 2, Bonnie, and 2 years is the payoff of the Bonnie, and 2 years is player, the payoff. Okay? First is Bonnie. Second is this. Don't confess, don't confess. Both will take only 2-year prison. That's easy. However, because confess is only the possibility for the police, therefore policemen usually try to persuade, of course, the Bonnie and Clyde a separate room, investigator's room, and if you confess, you will get only 1 year. And another guy, the Clyde, will take a 12 year in prison. Okay? Another investor, next room, to the Clyde, why don't you confess? In that case, you will get only 1 year. And another guy will be 12 years. Okay? Therefore, okay, just 1 year, I like it. Therefore, both will confess. In that case, both confess 6 years, 6 years. Much worse than this, no confess. Okay? So if you consider locally to the confess or non-confess, always, if you believe this time, payoff table, okay, Bonnie's action, Clive, if the Clive will take don't confess, Bonnie's action, shorter period is better. Therefore, Bonnie will take a confess. To the contrary, if Clyde will take a confess, first 12 year and 6 year, therefore, Clyde will take a shorter period. So you can easily find that irrelevant to this, confess is the dominant action by the Bonnie. Okay? So if neither confess, they are 2 years to face. Better. But if you compare this and following the police actions, you may automatically confess. Okay? Similarly, Clive's viewpoint, if Bonnie will confess, Clive 1 year, 6 years, will take this 1 year and 2 years. So Clive will take a confess. If the Bonnie will take a confess, 12 years, 6 years, therefore 6 years is taken. Again, irrelevant to the Bonnies, Clive's dominant action is confess. So both confess and confess. Therefore, automatically, if you calculate just a profit, this comes out. Dominant, and automatically this. But this is better. How can we do it? So if the two parties can make agreement or collusion, okay, Clyde and Bonnie do not confess anyways. In that case, much better for both will be taken, okay? But if this is the company's the collusions. In the domestic situations, this is illegal. Therefore, they are just independent. In that case, automatically dominant. Therefore, the Clive and Bonnie will get 6 years both sentences. Okay. So dominant strategy. This part, green part, is usually called Nash equilibrium point. Okay. So in order to increase the profit, an agreement or regime is required. So actually this kind of collusion is an international agreement. So when we need the agreement, if this happens, like the prisoner dilemma, actually without setting the rules, not the rules, the regime, international regime, global regime, automatically the worst scenario may happen, okay? So the 3 non-regime type and the 3 regime types will be considered. Prisoner dilemma, so-called collaboration game, I just introduced. Let's start from here. Harmony, I will skip initially this. 3 regime type, harmony. What is it? Okay, A and B, action 1, 2, action 1, 2. Easiest is like we need a global standard, just one unique one. Okay. So harmony, in that case, I like standard A. I also like standard A. No regime or no negotiation is required. Both like the standard A. That means action 1 for 4. Okay? And this is worth 1, 1. So automatically this for 4 is obtained. We don't need to get any particular. So this part is actually the Nash equilibrium. Therefore, no negotiation required. No regime is required. Okay? Next one, independence. We don't need a global standard. So each country may keep the standard A and the standard B. Okay? So in this case, the one example is here. 3, 3 is the largest. So A will take action 1, and action 2 is B here. This point is the equilibrium point, okay? But no interaction is required. Totally different independence, okay? Third part is the zero-sum game. This is the territorial war, like the Israel, okay? The Gaza area or others. Who will take? So the 7 days this country, Israel, 7 days like another country. It's ridiculous usually, okay? Which will take only one. So zero-sum game, these are called, okay? So we don't cooperate, but hate each other. I will compete with you, and I will revenge against you. This is the typical war. No negotiation is possible for this situation. So 1, 4, 1, 4. So worst and best, okay? So if this happens, no negotiation is possible. So that's why a couple of 100 years still the Middle East are fighting each other, okay? Territorial invasion. So no negotiation possible. So when we can get the negotiation, like a global regime, 3 regime type, prisoner dilemma, like a Kyoto Protocol, the same situation. This is the best point, but finally, all the situation, this comes out, okay? So neither confess, and 2 years, this is the good. And however, this part is the dominant, okay? 1 year, I like 1 year, so I like 1 year. Therefore, both will confess and finally move to the worst scenario. So the 6 year for each. Without negotiating, you will get the worse situation. Therefore, what you need is to make some collaboration or collusion, okay, and initially negotiate. In that case, both will get the better performance point. So for this reason, we need a global regime, okay? So global warming, this is one example. Montreal Protocol and the Kyoto Protocol later. The difference is covering the gas. The Montreal is either chlorine or bromine is regulated. Kyoto Protocol covers the greenhouse gas, typically CO2 and methane, and these another, sulfur, hexafluoride, or others. These all are covered by the Kyoto Protocol. And the 37 industrial countries initially signed on it. And the global warming, Kyoto Protocol, before and after 2009, this situation. So interestingly, Japan is an exceptional country who increased the CO2 emission. Particularly in these several years, dramatic increase happened, okay? So the Kyoto Protocol, what is the situation? Origin, of course, this is a norm. As I told you, our current president, is the profit guy, okay? So the profit, the economic, in that case, global warming and investing doesn't make any profit to the countries. Therefore, they try to escape. This is merely like a norm and the prisoner's dilemma. Therefore, we need to set some of the the global warming, okay, the regulation. Therefore, Kyoto and now the Paris, protocol is working. 3 regime types: the battle of sexes, or we sometimes call the coordination game. The simplest the engineering type. When I was an associate professor, this is really fighting each other. VHS or Beta Max. Younger generation may not know it, okay? So football game or romantic movie for a date, okay? This is the reason of the name, Battle of Sexes. Dating, I'm saying usually female and male. I don't mind the male and male couple, okay? I'm not typical, okay? Male and female. Dating, of course, you will go to the same place that create that date, okay? Our US guys usually like a football game, but the ladies may not. They may need a romantic, okay, movie. So if you will choose both, I will go to movie, and you can go to football. This doesn't make any dating. Bottom line is both together, the same places, okay? That's the battle of sexes. Therefore, if you have with your boyfriend, okay, you would like to go to romantic movie. your how can I say friends would like to go to the football game. How do you decide?
Persuade him
Eh?
to come with me. I will persuade him to come with me.
So yeah, this is a power relation. If you take a power relation, that may fine. In your situation, how do you decide, football or movie?
Maybe I will also persuade
Persuade, okay.
to come with me.
Another possibility is probability, statistic. If I were you, okay, in my situation, usually I will take a sequential. Date is not one time. I would like to make a 500, okay? Dating. In that case, this time, romantic. Next time, football. Probability. You can set the probability. I will explain how to set the probability and so on. This is another, the game setting, okay? Of course, the stone or scissors, the paper, these are another probability. But some guys is really strong, this guy. So you can set the probability, okay? Twice football, one time romantic, that's another possibility. In her situation, 5 times a movie and 1 time football, okay? So that depends on the power balance of the, okay? So at least these are the probability. So I have standard A, and you may know Betamax is the Sony, and VHS is the Victor, okay? Yeah. These are the typical range. So standard A and standard B. Actually, Sony failed later, okay? So these are the some of the action items. But we do need a global standard. So when I was a young professor, I had the Betamax, and also we need to process the VHS, okay? Both. Otherwise, depending on the tape is totally different, system is different, okay? The Betamax is a higher resolution, but the shorter, the recording time. Maximum was only 1 hour. The VHS 2 hours, but the resolution is a little worse. But the best one is cheaper, much cheaper. Okay. So I need to compromise with either A or B. So a video system, I like this story because I experienced practically, but we do not have time. Therefore, basically Sony 1976 first video system, okay, created. So Sony was like a leader, 100% share worldwide, okay, first video system standard. And however, in order to reduce the cost and VHS, the Japan Victor Corporation through the Betamax, okay, was developed. Much cheaper technological quality is a little worse for this. Since the video tapes were also totally different, customer needs to choose either system or, like me, we need to process 2 video deck, okay? So since the videotape was, or in order to increase the world market, all video company needs to choose one unique world standard. Okay? Betamax or VHS. So VHS became a standard in 1988. The background is already provided in my textbook, Global Global Crisis and Sustainability Technology, chapter 3 or 4. Okay, so you can read this background. So in this case, what is the origin? Of course, profit. Okay, and a battle of sex. Either must be chosen. Okay. Political strength, actually, in this case. Stag hunt. Another type is stag hunt, assurance game. What is this? Collaboration makes a big outcome. 2 persons are required to catch the deer, big deer, okay? To the contrary, one guy can catch the rabbit, okay? So this means plus positive sum, much better is taken. And here, so this means action 1, both are taking the same action and taking the big, the win. But seeking the small outcome is easiest, only one, okay? Without making any negotiation, we can catch this rabbit. But another guy doesn't take any. So this is of course, the rabbit, both guys can take the same rabbit, but share the small rabbit by half. This is really low, the profit. Therefore, these are, the payoff table is obtained. So this is usually called the stag hunt. So I need assurance of collaboration, okay? So corporate decision-making. Decision tree and the sequential decision-making, and I will explain some. Strategic decision-making, 3 types of mistake in the company corporate. Sometimes mistake of decision's choice was made, mistake, okay? Make a selection of the strategic choices. Second one is procedure. Even the good selection was made, handling process mistake through the selection, though the selection is appropriate, okay? Third one is mistake of handling timing. Too slow, too late, though the selection and the procedure is the appropriate, okay? The nuclear power plant accident is actually this, handling itself. So in these categories, risk and uncertainty, these are already defined, but do you know the difference? You can read it. If you can find or calculate the probability, this is usually called risk. Uncertainty, no way to calculate any probabilities. In that case, we call it uncertainty, okay? So oil mining companies, decision making. In that case, trial making and discover oil and full dress and action and result, action, result. So decision point and resulting point are usually made, and these are gradually changing, okay? So to find the oil mining, initially the trial mining a little cheaper. Trial mining is $500,000. The full dress mining is $2 million. So if you start full dress mining first, $2 million. If we cannot find any oil, $2 million loss. So shall we start initially the trial mining, okay? 0.5 million, so the $500,000. That's cheaper. So sometimes at the multiple trial, the mining, and finally we get this oil. So we will take a large, full dressing. It's finding, okay? So full dressing or others. These are the typical decision tree oil mining. So if I provide some of the numbers, successful final oil mining, $10 million for one, the well, okay? So 10 million will be finally they discovered oil 10 million. This is also 10 million and 10 million, but these branch trial the mining and not mining, trial mining and full dressing immediately. If they automatically find this final goal, of course, this is good way to get the 10 million. But in this case, a trial mining already spending some money, and the full dressing another money, okay? And finally this. So basically, these are some of the possible situation is provided, and usually we need to take a reverse analysis method. So if you get the, and another one, I need to set probability to find the oil by trial mining is 60%, and immediate full dressing also the same 60%, and the probability of full dressing after the successful trial 90%, and probability full dress mining after the unsuccessful trial is only 10%. Okay, also nothing is easily made. So the percentage is also provided. So subtracting, so 90%, 10%, no oil. So final $10 million. So 90% are discovered. Therefore, this cost, the price will be 9 million, and 2 million was spent. So at this point is at 7 million. So this reverse backward calculation is usually made, and the cheapest or the largest amount is obtained. We can choose this. So in this case, probability, this is high probability. This is high, really high, 60%. So more than half, we can find the oil. In that case, discover oil. The trial mining can be skipped. And skipping and getting this, this is 4 million. In this case, 3.7 million. So this is better. Okay. However, trial, so probability finding is, I think, 30%. Okay. In that case, 30%, this finding the percentage is low. If you calculate 30%, this line, so trial mining is much better. So you can find this. So reverse analysis can provide this. Next one is iPhone Galaxy. This is a worldwide competition. Okay. How to create a payoff table? Yes, actually, I'm asked occasionally by the student. Usually MBA course, payoff table is provided. And the test is usually calculation and this. Okay? Therefore, if you start to work in the companies, nobody will provide a payoff table. Okay? Your company and the competitive companies, you need to create a payoff table. So I usually teach how to create a payoff table. Galaxy, iPhone, okay? So how to set the sales price, low or high? High price, $330, and low price is $200, okay? Both the same. The market, lower price, larger sales. This is the typical situation. And the profit is calculated by the sales price minus manufacturing cost. Okay? And the profit, lower price, lower profitability usually. Higher price is better. Okay? Step 1, create a sales quantity prediction table. Because I'm a US citizen, therefore iPhone has a slightly higher brand name. if you go to the Korea, Galaxy may be higher brand name, okay? If you consider this is the US market, okay? So brand name is higher for the iPhone, okay? If you believe this, the sales quantity prediction, total amount is initially created. So all you guys are in the proposal writing, you provided the sum of the research trend. So in the next 10 years, how large is increasing, so that you can understand the total number of the mobile phone. Okay, of course this is too small. Just a simple calculation stage. Okay, two orders of magnitude different. But one example, 1.1 million pieces for this. Okay, and the Galaxy is 1 million. So 10% range. I'm putting iPhone will be a little larger share if the price is the same. In this case, both lower, total amount is 3 million, and sharing 1.6 million and 1.4 million for the Galaxy, okay? Expensive, total amount is 2.1 million, and this is 3 million, okay? The low price and high price is here. So in that case, of course, lower price is much stronger, 2.2 million pieces, and the Galaxy is 0.3. Usually the Galaxy is low and iPhone is high. Therefore, in that case, iPhone is 0.8 million, and to the contrary, Galaxy will be at 2 million, okay? These are, so initially sales quantity can be created. And next, step 2, create a profit time payoff table. Profit, iPhone, Galaxy, in that case, manufacturing cost. The Galaxy is usually, of course, using a China factory. In that case, $150. iPhone is a little expensive for the manufacturing cost, $160. Therefore, profit, if you sell at 230 or 200, profit is actually just this, the total this minus this is equal to this, okay? So profit is calculated this. In that case, in the previous slide, number of pieces are provided here. Yes, number is here. So profit is multiplied. So you can calculate the total payoff. This is the revenue. No, profit. Profit will be the 77, 80, and 64, 70, and so on. Okay, this table is created. So this is how to create a profit payoff table from a profit viewpoint. Okay, real. Now, using this iPhone versus how to decide the strategy. If the two parties can make an agreement collusion, of course, definitely both will win here. Okay? Both will get the high price, and getting this. If the agreement is not allowed, like a free market, in that case, the Galaxy, so initially we will consider iPhone, okay? iPhone will consider high or low. Galaxy, if Galaxy will take a high price, iPhone's revenue is here or here. So lower price is better, okay? However, if Galaxy is taken the low price, okay, iPhone, high price, low price, of course, low price is better. you can find already dominant strategy for low price for the iPhone. Similarly, Galaxy, if iPhone will take a high price, you need to compare 80 and 100. Definitely low price is better. If the iPhone will take a low price, 56 and 70, yes, a low price is better. Another dominant strategy came up. Okay? Therefore, if you release it, automatically this part comes. It's not good compared with this. Therefore, typically, company collusion happened. Okay? If this is found in the domestic, you will be arrested, unfortunately. But this is one of the example of this, okay? So this part is usually called automatic dominant, and creating this, the stable point. So Nash equilibrium, okay? So collusion is illegal in a country. So internationally, this strategy can be made. So let's make agreement on both high price, okay? So final, sequential decision-making, a super game, the prisoner's dilemma, and the castle and palace. Let's see. I don't have time so much. Therefore, just explain. Game decision theory, this is the continuous. Castle and palace is the pizza company, okay? Pizza restaurant. So $10, $6, high and low, $10, $6. And we will start from the castle, okay? Castle will take a high or low. If castle will take a high, palace, 3 or 4, which is better, they will take usually high or low. So the castle, initially, the $10 and the $6, okay? So let's see, high and low. Yeah. This is actually million pieces, the selling amount. So 3. So total amount, what is the order? 3 times 10. So order is a little different. So 3 million. Anyhow, just take this 3, okay? So 3 and 1, 2, 4. These are the castle, and the palace will take a high, in that case low, in the highest amount. You can find if castle will take a high, second 3 or 4, 4 is better. If castle will take a low, 1 and 2, low is better. So anyhow, low will be chosen, okay? So again, another castle, second round happened. So again, this happened. So basically what I'm saying, finally we will move here, dominant position. And this is all stabilized finally for taking this. So it's not a good idea. If they will collaborate and 3-3, that's a much better situation. So how to calculate this? We call it a super game. As I told you previously, like a dating. One time this, next time this, so 50-50 chance, or twice movie, and one time football. In that case, 67%. Okay, these are the chosen percentage. If you can provide the sum of the idea of multiple means super game. We sometimes take an infinite. It's totally difficult to take infinite. At least 100 times, like a date game, okay? How many times do you make a date before marriage, okay? Just consider it. One time marriage, just really highly risky, okay? Twice, 3 times, minimum 10 times or this, okay? You can start the probability, okay? So this situation happened. So basically, if you remain for the all like final position, okay? Both will lose money. So sometimes you have a better probability, the higher or lower. So higher is better. But if higher is made, another is always taking the lower. Of course, this will really win. Therefore, it's not illegal, but tit for tat strategy again. If one company increase higher, why don't you increase higher? So higher is much better for both. But if both are keeping a higher, it's again, we don't know. The Japanese government may provide, you are making a collusion, okay? Therefore, occasionally you may need to change it. So probability is fine, okay? So how to calculate? The high and low probability for one company is P and 1 minus P. The balance is Q and 1 minus Q. And taking this part is a calculation. The P possibility, high is P, and in that case, the P times Q3 and here minus 1 minus Q. This is added, and another lower level, can you find this? 1 minus P point. In that case, this 4 and 2, so all are added. So this is the final solution. And the palace similarly are this equation. So if we plot this, this point and this point is obtained. So basically 1, 1 and 0, 0, P 1, 0 and 0, 1. Basically inside here, all the probability is included. But the tit for tat strategy, you can take some of the possibilities. And another one, all possible mixed structure strategies. And the next one are so-called prisoner's dilemma. You can get this point, okay? Prisoner's dilemma, final. And this is the better one. Therefore, nobody will take lower than this. Better than this point is accepted, and better than this is accepted, and only these are the typical Nash equilibrium. And this is usually Folk theorem. Why this higher is better? This is not actually published, or the old game theorist is using, but that's why folk means traditionally used, okay? So the higher this area. This can be taken any point. So according to the tit for tat, higher or lower, if another company is taking higher, we had better follow the higher. If they provide a lower, we can follow the lower. In that case, you can move around here, okay? And the probability is taken. So basically, around here, either party will not complain so much, okay? So using these strategies, we had better move here to here. Oh, already 9:30, I will skip. I will take Future of Power. This book is quite good. The Joseph Nye, the Harvard University professor, who used to be the National Intelligence Council chair during the Obama period. Okay, I was working for the Obama period like a Navy, the ambassador. Therefore, I'm following his ideas. Smart power. That means hard power and soft power. Soft power is typically translated like a diplomatic negotiation. But the soft power got nowhere in attracting the Taliban's government. Okay? Therefore, we need to use the hard power. But only hard power may make some conflict in between. Therefore, soft and hard, what percentage will be really integrated, mixed strategy must be used. So like a tit for tat strategies, basically mixed one is usually used in the diplomatic issues. Command principle, usually during the command, some crisis happened, the one responsible commander must be taken and combine the analytic and intuitive approaches, and the speed is important. During the earthquake and the TEPCO's, the accident, nuclear power plant accident happened, who should be the really commanding officer? In the United States, of course, president. Okay. However, the then prime minister in Japan tried to shift his responsibility to the Tokyo TEPCO's president. Okay, TEPCO's president is not responsible anything for this crisis. TEPCO's president is to create a profit to the company. Okay, once accident happened, particularly triggered by the weather, TEPCO is not responsible anything to take care of this. Prime minister must be taken care of. So this commanding system is very loose. That's the one problem at then. Okay, analytic and intuitive approaches, and the speed is important. Unfortunately, that prime minister visited the real crisis area. That's a big mistake, and delayed 3 days for the water spray period. That created practically the explosion. So speed is the highest priority. He didn't know anything about this the necessity. Okay. This principle is created by the here military FM. Okay, field manuscript. Basically military the field manual usually create this kind of situation. So therefore, I'm just explaining some of the key points. Speed is important, and transfer the initiative, decision, responsibility to the lower subordinate. The commanding officer should not decide all. Just separate, like a decision tree must be really lower and lower, and all responsibility must be taken by the prime minister. Okay. They encourage subordinates to accept a calculated risk. Don't afraid any risk and work on it. If this failed, of course, responsibility is mine. Okay, that's the leadership. And fog of uncertainty. different from the company's the previous decision, we cannot really provide any the probability for this. Therefore, we call it the fog of uncertainty, no probability. Okay? Therefore, action item, the timely decision is required. Therefore, we cannot collect all information. Information may be only 10%. Okay? So don't take any time to delay the decision. So risk and uncertainty already I provided. Statistical probability or mathematical probability. Okay? So 3 Mile Island and Fukushima Daiichi, the difference is here. Both are melted down. But 3 Mile Island, when I was the research associate at Penn State University, I really experienced this. So water spray was immediately made, and evacuation in the 80 kilometer is 24 hours. Okay, our state college was a little more than 100 kilometer. Therefore, we are not evacuating period, but some of our township guys are already escaped. Okay, rather dangerous situation. Delay of water spray that creates a problem. That delay also related with evacuation. Initially only 20 kilometers, and that take 3 days because military or defense has not been used. Just moving out, but usually Japanese doesn't want to move out so easily. Therefore, this delay happened. Using a rifle and evacuate immediately. This is most important during this crisis situation. Commanding system, commander's decision, and expert call, and so on. So commanding systems. The commander-in-chief should be unique one, not separate. Of course, you can take a subordinate, and some of the decision-making must be made in the lower. But the commanding-in-chief should be only one unique, okay? And decide immediately even without precise enough information. This, the water spray was delayed actually because they are now still collecting information. This is a terrible situation. So nuclear, less than 24 hours, all spray, water spray, must be made. So that's definitely important. Technological problem, Japanese government needs to reinvest to develop backup or rescue systems. Actually, more than 10 years prior for this accident, we suggested to put the backup system in all Japanese nuclear power plants. So more than 20 years back, all European, the nuclear power plant put all together. That means our 3 Mile Island accident is the first one, and providing all information to the worldwide. Interestingly, only unique Japanese government doesn't follow our suggestion. Okay? The evaluation by the public, actually without hiding necessary information, we need to publish. But then the Edano-san doesn't really report any precise ideas to the all audience. Therefore, people doesn't really believe the government announcement. Okay, they are hiding something. That creates some problem, and the spray water immediately. We provided the information less than 4 hours to the Japanese government. You need to spray the water immediately. But immediately means they didn't really follow. 3 days is too late. So a nuclear power plant, a future situation. After that, 2015, they created the energy mix. And actually, the 50 reactor should be restarted. Then this plan, okay? So this plan was relatively good. I left Japan 2014, so I saw this mixed plan, okay? Therefore, okay, this seems to be good. Therefore, I created. But the current situation, how many reactor is really moved back, okay? As far as I know, only 4 reactors are moving, okay? This calculation is 50. Why this is so slow for restarting, okay? So this is one issue. Security control under the military force, this is important in this nuclear area. Rescue robot system, monitoring sensor system. Interestingly, none of them started really put on the nuclear power plant. Already 10 years passed, okay? Not 10 years. That happened 8 years, okay? Almost 9 years. So these must be really moved quickly and restart the nuclear power plant. Otherwise, you may know the Japanese countries are really accused because largest CO2 generating in Japan, you are still using coal or oil or others, lots of amount, okay? Summary. So the prisoner's dilemma, the battle of sexes, and the stag hunt, and the cooperative decision-making. I explained the super game theory. Tit for tat strategy, Nash equilibrium is here, and the Folk theorem. So this is cut, and this part is good, okay? So crisis decision-making, fog of uncertainty and timely decision. Therefore, without collecting, so of course this is the probability already calculated. So this is just a risk calculation. So a company can take it. We cannot create this kind of the statistical or there's a probability analysis in the crisis. Crisis, it's difficult, okay? So therefore, fog of uncertainty, you need to realize it. Commanding officer must be really familiar with how to control the military force or defense force quickly, and evacuation must be made. So most important is actually the save the life. So quickest is most important. The funny issues is making a huge wall, like the giant wall around the seaside, okay? Sometimes that is called Bandi no Chojo, okay? That's crazy. Do you know how long period you can use this cement? 40 years maximum, okay? Every 40 years, you will create another long. It's crazy. In the United States, of course, we are attacked. Florida area is attacked by the hurricane almost every year or every 2 years, okay? The whole house is gone. What is most important? We are not considering any war. Why they are living there? They like the scenery. Therefore, when they start to set the house, they need to take this risk, probability already, okay? Every 3 years, we need to rebuild the house. That kind of guy can move there. What they need is just evacuating immediately. So all Florida areas guys are removing when the hurricane is coming. Hurricane, we can detect more than 1 day prior, so they can easily move out. So life is important. Another issue, of course, rebuilding the house, the insurance. Insurance is, of course, high there. But they like this scenery. If they start to make a block crazy, they will not really live, okay? No benefit. Therefore, the living there needs to take a risk. What they need is to save their life itself. Therefore, the announcement system must be really quickly and evacuate even using a rifle gun. Okay? That's most important. Thank you.
Any questions or comments?
I'd like to just make a comment because this is one or zero, something like that. But in Japan, there is Joe Sella's chairman, said he wrote a book, Return Thinking. You have to think of the customer or the other first, and then all the benefits come back to you. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And how do you put this idea into your system, the game theory? Because it doesn't consider or is it just 1 0? This one is a 0 1, but it couldn't be because in the end you get some benefit from why you do it.
Your question is zero-sum game?
No. Mr. Ijamba wrote a book about return taking.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a philosophy of life, but also applied to it. And it seems to work in Japan.
Yeah, return city?
Return, it is Japanese word. Return taking.
Altruistic.
Oh, yeah.
Hmm?
Altruistic motive. So, 他人を
Mm. Crisis is actually saving a life itself. So that's the most important. The house or others, of course, this can be rebuilt. That's the typical situation. And the motivation to live in the hurricane area, of course, they can move to the no hurricane period, area. It's easy. But they would like to stay there because they would like to see the seaside. They like seaside. So they don't care to rebuild the house. House building, rebuild, do you know the US simple situation? This is like a prehab type. So usually for the walls already created, including the windows, are brought in the large truck and pam. So usually the house building takes 1 month. And they don't care to rebuild every 2 years. Okay? Therefore, what they need to keep their life safe. So they immediately escape, okay? And the government doesn't care any corruption of the house. Therefore, from my the crisis viewpoint, why Japanese are making a big wall, I totally cannot understand your sense. All beautiful scenery are destroyed, and even you create the walls, that is only 30 years. Strong, the tidal wave completely crashes. Do you have the salt strong cement? Actually, I developed the cement in 1979. I'm not the cement guy, but we need to create a cement which can be solidified in the seaside. So these must be used for the covering around the seaside, but still only 40 years. After that was 1979, so how many years passed? close to 40 years passed, okay? So more than 40, 79, 40, yeah. 40 years passed. Do you know the current situation? We started to slice the cement and checking radioactive information, okay? So basically 30 years, about half hangenki, okay? Half reduction happened, but still we need to keep more than 60 years. So gradually, so what we need is to accelerate this radioactivity. So of course heating up is one possibility, but nobody is actually working in Japan how to accelerate a nuclear decay period, okay? That's one of the most important science in Japan. Otherwise, keeping Fukushima, how many years, okay? 60 years like that, okay? So you need to really, basically the completely sealed by the cement is actually radioactivity is completely shut out. In that case, the surrounding the 3 Mile Island, the house is gradually taking. Of course, less than 2 kilometers, nobody would like to stay there. But the really cheap, 1/10 lower price than the other. So as long as you already took it, this accident, therefore, how to completely remove this situation and recover to the original, that's another issue, okay? But actually, once already 8 years, so nobody will return to the original place. They already settled in the different places, okay? So a completely new program, new generation may move in. Yeah.
Any other?
In real world, the government or company use game theory for predicting future or understanding past results. For which objective the game theory is used?
In my understanding, game theory doesn't provide any particular direction. Game theory is usually used to persuade the company boss. Practically, we need some of the reasons. Originally, each person has some direction. To make some validity of this choice, we will create some of this payoff table and so on. As you have already learned, practically the decision point is different. So this is a kind of explanation. So depending on the profit-related or norm-related or power-related, decision power, the payoff table is totally different, okay? So if the current, our present, their payoff, or actually talking, payoff, is actually profit, okay? So persuading why the United States will remove from this the CO2 regulation, this doesn't create any profit to the United States. That's the reason, okay? So some of the guy believes this profit, but from a norm's viewpoint, the current president doesn't make any comment on the norms, okay? So that's the leader's decision. So Democrats usually complain something, but he's supporting 51% of the all population doesn't completely understand. They don't care anything about the global economy or others. They usually consider tomorrow's money. So their strongest supporter is a so-called poor white. Therefore, they are money. So starting coal mining, that creates a huge employment. So the employment rate, you may know, much lower than the Japan now. Only 3% of the unemployment, okay? So increasing dramatically this employment. Two situations, coal mining, and another one is a big wall, okay, between the Mexico. We hired multiple 10,000, 20,000 immediately for some of the projects. This reduces unemployment. So this, the daily worker doesn't care any global warming, okay? So the president, the supporting rate is dramatically increasing actually after election. The 56% are now supporting the president, okay? So they are really concentrating on how to make a profit to the United States. Okay?
Any other? Okay, thank you very much. And please give the hand to Professor Uchino for his all effort in the past several months
Thank you very much.
So we are closing today's forum. We are closing today's forum, and again, this forum is the title is Grand Design Project, and program name is a Grand Design by Japan, but course name is Grand Design Project. And this might be the final moment to make a presentation by students. This is this morning we gave that session. And later in this afternoon, the Professor Uchino gave two lectures. One is on intellectual property right, and the other second one is decision making based on the game theory. And we learned quite a lot. And from January to March, we will have the follow-up forums and seminars. So we will give that information sometime later through emails. And you are invited to be here. And this might be the last moment for the past 10 years Grand Design program. And January, February, and March. And if you have any further request, for example, what kind of the topic or themes might fit your interest, so please let me know that I will organize the forums according to your opinion and views and requests. Okay? So thank you very much. So maybe this might be around the end of 2019. So have a nice holidays and have a nice warming atmosphere if you have. I don't have. So okay. Okay. Thank you very much. So.